Good afternoon. My name is Miss Whitney Blake. During this video, I will be discussing the importance of being a culturally responsive teacher. What is culture? According to the Oxford Language, culture refers to the idea, custom, and social behavior of a society. Culturally responsive is a critical part of education. The National Center of Culturally Responsive Education System states culturally responsive is the ability to learn from and relate to respectfully with people of your own culture as well as other cultures. With this, learners in the classroom will not only learn about their own culture, but they will also be able to have a better understanding about the different cultures in their community. Culturally responsive teaching seeks to understand the lives of the students in the classroom, and it will allow these students to have a feeling of acceptance in the classroom. Culturally responsive teaching attempts to bridge gaps between teachers and students by helping the teacher to understand the values that cause the relationship between the teacher and the student to build or break. Broken relationships with teachers and students will ultimately also cause the student achievement to fail as well. Joel Springer suggested in his theory in 1997 that culture presents in school can have a negative effect on other cultures of some students. He implies several ways in which schools can decentralize students. Segregation and isolation of minority students have forced a change in language. In order to better communicate with each other, students have to find new ways to communicate. A curriculum that only reflects the culture of the dominating groups is one that is exclusive and doesn't consider the needs or experience of other groups or setting in which dominated groups are not allowed to express their culture, language, or customs. His theory, which is divisive, is based on the idea that students should be separated based on their culture in the classroom by allowing this to be taught in their own culture. Joel suggested that we apply his idea in order to improve the education system and communities, but doing so only leads to further segregation and division. Diversity is one of the defining challenges of the 21st century education system. In order to meet the needs of all students, teachers must be aware of all the ways in which students learning experience are shaped by their home language, culture, and context, and so on. With this knowledge, we can begin to find ways to address the challenges and give all students a better chance at success. The reality of race and privilege in the United States is one ongoing manifestation of institutional racism within the education system and the many factors that shape students' prior opportunities to learn within individual classrooms. These can include things like poverty or the lack of resources at home, which can make it harder to do As a culturally responsive teacher, I will also make sure that I build relationship with my students. Building those relationships would help them to build community within the classroom and with each other, which is exactly important for a healthy classroom. It is one in which students feel like they are part of a community and can see how the concept they are learning ties into their social lives and communities. I aim to create an inclusive environment where all students feel respected. Recognizing your classroom setup, I do this by creating a welcoming classroom where all students will feel included and valuable. In our country, Guyana, we have a multi ethnic identity. It is also referred to as a pro society of six groups. Despite the fact that each group has its own culture or identity, our national motto is one people, one nation, one destiny. Each group strives to engage in its unique culture